with Code Red, you're gonna get tested. You're gonna get thrown into the fire. There are gonna be so many things that come your way that are going to test you, basically, and we will be in the fire with you. You have to know that we'll be by your side and holding your hand throughout this whole process. And they didn't need that. I don't know what they needed. I don't want to speculate. But they believed one way or the other, whatever was going to happen, they believed in God. They believed that he was the one true God, and they were fine with that, whatever was going to happen. But boy, I bet it sure felt good to be in the fire with that spirit, with the God spirit, the Son of God, whoever it was, however, I don't know. But we know that it was sent from God. And it's going to feel so much better if you go into the fire with us with you.
I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer, here with Carrie. And funny, Carrie's wearing a stocking cap and I'm wearing a new color on my head. Vastly different looks here. I know Carrie, I know she's cold and she threw on a hat, which she looks adorable. And I know me, I wanted a different color, so I changed my hair color. I just think it's funny.
It's awesome. I love this hair color. I know it's not quite as bright as you want, but I really like it.
Thank you. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I was going for hot pink, but couldn't quite pull all the blue out when I pulled the blue out. So blue and pink make purple, and it turned out purple. It's beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. And I'll just continue to progress to what I was looking for. And it's a lot of fun. You know, it's funny, sis. One of the things about me is the only thing the biggest thing I'm comfortable with is change. And I love to change. And maybe you not so much.
Well, no. I mean, this is for those of you listening, I'm wearing a stocking cap over recycled hair from last night. I didn't want to redo the whole thing. So I was like, well, we're going to put a hat on and we got a deer sweater. So it is, I did put lip gloss on, Cristy, though.
But you aren't as comfortable with change, are you? I mean, you haven't cut your hair. You do color your hair.
I'm coloring my hair, but I ain't cutting my hair. I like my hair long. Cristy used to call me Rapunzel back in the day when my hair was dark. It was a lot of hair. I don't know. Christy's like, what's your end game? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to keep growing it. Eventually till I'm that old lady that everyone's like, grandma, can we cut your hair? That's what it's going to be someday.
Well, I tell people the same thing about me. I say, someday this is going to get creepy. And I'm going to be that creepy old lady that's trying to keep the whole dream alive. And people are like, no, you won't. Yes. If I keep doing this and I go past that cool point, like the kids still think I'm cool. Like I'm still cool, but it's going to become not cool. It's going to become creepy. And I'm totally okay with that. I'll transition.
Oh, I'm trying to think of you old enough to where it's creepy. Like I'm trying to imagine that. And I don't know if I see it.
Maybe the bright color when I'm old. And so maybe I'll just go ahead and let it go silver and do a silver kind of a modified mohawk. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe not quite so severely shaved, but I'm okay with being age appropriate. But what does that even mean? You know, maybe I'm not even age appropriate now. So I know we're getting off here on a different topic, but we love to talk about hair and makeup and stuff. And in case you didn't know, Carrie and I are sisters, in case we have some new. And so when you hear us talk about our parents and our family members and stuff, we're sisters. And Carrie has also been working for Code Red as the COO for over 5 years. And she's an RN, MSN RN, and works, picks up a couple shifts in the ER just to keep her hands on patients. And it's really great to have her with me on this podcast. And today we are talking about Into the Fire. That's what I'm naming this podcast, Into the Fire. What do I mean by that? In the Bible, in the Old Testament, there is a really great story. I like the stories in the Bible. I was telling Carrie, I remember being a kid and listening to old records. Mom and dad would play records and it would be stories from the Bible. And it would be like Jonah and the whale, and it'd be all different stories from the Bible, and Daniel and the lion's den. And this is no exception. This is a story from the Bible about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Cristy, this is absolutely one of my favorite stories in the Bible because I mean, first of all, Christy's right. They had the little records and they would go Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And then they would go, they had the fire and they would say, King, we will not bow. You will not bow. King, we will not bow. And the king would say, throw them into the furnace. And it was, I mean, spoiler alert. If you haven't heard the story, that's a spoiler alert. But it is absolutely one of my favorite. I agree with Cristy. And we had them all. We had Pharaoh, remember with the Moses, and she put him in the basket. We had Jonah and the whale. You could hear Jonah. It was like they probably had some guy in a room and they were like banging on the windows and making it sound like he was in a storm. So I loved those when we were growing up. Those were
little
awesome.
songs were like Zacchaeus was a wee little man and a wee little man was he. Yep. He climbed up in a sycamore tree. So Carrie's going to read the story from the Bible for you guys. So, and those of you guys who are not Bible believers, that's okay. Just listen along. We believe the Bible is the word of God, and we don't believe in religion. We believe in relationship, but we do believe that the Bible is the word of God. And we're going to reference that. If you're uncomfortable with that, that's okay. This is just what we're going to do. And we want to read you the story so you kind of know where we're going with this and how it ties back around into Code Red.
So you're going to go in your Bible to Daniel 3. So Daniel this is an Old Testament story. And the song went Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Remember that song?
Yes.
So there was a king named Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel were tight back in the day. Nebuchadnezzar was an odd kind of king. He had all these dreams and visions, and sometimes he would call Daniel and say, Daniel was a prophet. And he would say, Daniel, tell me my dream. And Daniel would go and pray, and God would tell him the dream and then tell him the meaning. So for some reason, Nebuchadnezzar got it in his head that he needed to be worshiped based on a dream that he had. I don't know if that's completely accurate. All my Bible scholars will write in and tell me that. So he made a statue, a big gold statue of himself. And they said, nations and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, the lyre, the lyre, the harp, the pipe, you will fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And who does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace. So that was a decree across the land. Now, Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego were like Daniel. They were from a different country, and he did the sounds, oh, and everyone bowed down except for these people. Now, there were some people that were kind of out to get you. And you're going to find in your life, there are people that are looking for you to do something wrong. There are people looking for you to see. You might talk the talk of Code Red, but are you doing it all the time? Are you doing it when no one's looking? So you're going to have people that are watching you. So there's so many lessons in this story, but this is one of them. So they said, hey, king, there are people that are not laying down. The king was like, what? I can't believe it. Furious with rage. 3:13. Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were brought before the king. Is it true that you did not serve the gods or lay down and worship the gods, the images I've set up? Now we're going to do it again. This is your shot. Okay. Y'all need to do it. And they replied, I love this. King Nebuchadnezzar, verse 16, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, from your majesty's hand. Even if he does not, we want you to know that we will not bow down, even if we die. Well, Nebuchadnezzar got so upset. Cristy, he got so upset that he made the furnace 7 times or 4 times hotter. It actually killed 10 times.
Seven times.
It was 7. Anyway, it was hotter, y'all. It was hotter. He didn't need to do that. I think the furnace set on setting 1 probably would have killed somebody. That's all I'm saying. So he made it a lot harder. It actually killed the people that threw them into the fire. That's how hot it was. Bound them up, threw them into the furnace. So a little while later, the king looked and he said, weren't there 3 men that we tied up? Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Like those 3. And they said, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound, unharmed. And the 4th looks like he is a son of God or a son of God's. Like he's angelic, or he's God. He's something. He didn't look like a regular person. The king calls out, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I remember this on the record, come out. So they came out, and not a fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was the hair of their head singed. Their robes were not scorched. And Cristy, they didn't even smell like smoke. He said, praise be to the God who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. Now everybody needs to worship the true God. So that is the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And there are so many things you can learn from that story.
I love that. And so you might be wondering why are we doing a podcast? This is Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. Why are we doing a podcast on this? And why are we calling it Into the Fire? Because the significant part, and like Carrie said, there's so many different directions we could take, but what we want to really hammer home today with you is that even when you are in the fire, and when these three were in the fire, these three boys, the Son of God was in the fire with them. And let me tell you, with Code Red, you're gonna get tested. You're gonna get thrown into the fire. There are going to be so many things that come your way that are going to test you, basically. And we will be in the fire with you. You have to know that we'll be by your side and holding your hand throughout this whole process. And they didn't need that. I don't know what they needed. I don't want to speculate. But they believed one way or the other, whatever was going to happen, they believed in God. They believed that he was the one true God, and they were fine with that, whatever was going to happen. But boy, I bet it sure felt good to be in the fire with that spirit, with the God spirit, the Son of God, whoever it was, however, I don't know. But we know that it was sent from God. And it's going to feel so much better if you go into the fire with us, with you.
But Cristy, they had to actually go into the fire. They had to have faith that took them into the furnace, faith that took him to the furnace. So what we're asking you guys to do is we're asking you to have faith to take that first step and join the network. And I'm not comparing weight loss to an act of God, because I don't want you to think, we're not saying that we're God. We're not saying we're God-like at all. We're talking about how you can take these principles and apply them to your life. So faith, take some faith, get in the network, sign up for your first 10-pound takedown. Nobody's going to push that button for you. Nobody's going to make you enter the information. Nobody's going to make you download the app to your phone. Nobody's going to make you register and get an account. Nobody's going to be there for that part. But once you step in, once you take that first step of faith in, that's when our community can come around you. We can support you. We can love you. And it's not just Cristy and myself. It's the coaches. It is all the people in the community that have been where you are. You are not the only person that is walking up to a furnace right now. You're not the only person that's staring down 100 pounds you might need to lose, or 20 pounds. You're not the only person going through this right now.
That is such a good point, because it's not like they stood up and they said that to King Nebuchadnezzar, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego saw the heavenly being say, hey, listen, guys, don't worry. If you do this, then I'm going to rescue you. It's not a big deal. You're not even going to be harmed. I'm going to be right there with you. You're not going to be hurt. No burn. It's totally fine. Just go ahead and take this stand, make this statement. We're all going to be in this together. You got nothing to worry about. Don't even fear. I'm going to bring you out of this. They didn't have that warning. And we do say that to you, but still you have got this blindly, and I hope not too blindly. My job is to show you other people who have gone through the program and that have been successful. My job is to prove to you, but still you have to, when you're sitting on your couch in your home and ain't nobody home, and you're getting ready to, you got your credit card out and you're getting ready to pay that $27 for the 10-pound takedown, that's a step of faith right there. And so you do have to take that step of faith without really knowing, because a lot of people, by the way, it's not like they don't think the program's going to work. They think the program won't work for them. So you've got to take that step of faith, whether someone's in that fire with you. We will be in that fire with you, but you have to take that step and say, you know what? All right. Cristy has got thousands of before and after testimonies. We post one every day. She's got blog posts. We've got videos. We've got proof after proof after proof after proof. I'm going to do this.
I think one of the things that's scariest about weight loss and obviously way less scary than walking into a fiery furnace that killed the guys that put you in. Can you imagine that? Killed the people that put you in. Um, is that there isn't a guarantee for the results. And I think that you feel like, oh, well, if the doctor gives me a pill, there's going to be a guarantee. If I just drink this Beachbody shake, this Shakeology shake, if I just drink my Spark every day, if I just, that we've been sold this pack of lies that something else is going to guarantee that that fourth person is going to be in the fire with us. And so we think that and it's not true. Otherwise, if the pills were going to work, if the Shakeology was going to work, Cristy, I wouldn't be sitting on this podcast with you. We wouldn't have Code Red. So obviously it doesn't work. It doesn't meaningfully work over an extended amount of time. So it may seem like it's going to work, but there's no written guarantee. I just had someone at a meeting today say that their friend was wanting to do Code Red. And so then the friend said, well, what do I have to buy? And they said, nothing, you just follow the rules. And they were so upset because maybe it's not going to be real if I don't have to buy into a gimmick. So there's going to be time when you come up to the furnace and there's not going to be, like Cristy said, there's not going to be like, oh, hey, I see you in there, God. I see you in there. Or, okay, it's okay. I have my magic shaker bottle in my hand, or I got my fin in my left hand. It's going to be fine. I can do this. And you have to believe that following the rules and trusting the process of shifting from a glucose burning lifestyle and a fat burning lifestyle is going to work for you. You have to stand behind the science. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they stood behind their past relationship with God. So build a relationship with Cristy so you can stand on that as you walk into this process.
So Carrie, take us back to when you were getting ready to travel to Mexico to have weight loss surgery. You were right around 270 pounds, but you were not heavy enough to have weight loss surgery in the United States. So you went to Mexico instead. Compare that experience of taking a step of faith into that compared to taking a step of faith into Code Red, because you have kept off 100 pounds for almost 12 years, right around 11 years. But they both took a step of faith. Was it really scary to go to Mexico and have that surgery done? Who was
Super
with
scary.
you?
Yeah, nobody. It was super scary because, I believe that the different countries have amazing physicians. That's not my concern. My concern is they just don't do things like we do in the US. So there was no, being a nurse, there was no name bands. There was nobody double checking my allergies. It was just move them through. Now, a lot of people have had amazing results with surgeries in other countries. So I'm not bagging on that at all. I mean, we know people that went down from Yuma and got a bunch of dental work recently, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, for, a third of the cost, but it was scary. But Cristy, there's something to be said about feeling like a doctor has told you this will be the trick for you. This will be the key. This will be the magic. This will be what finally does it for you. And I see people get balloons put into their stomach and blown up so you can't eat as much. Doctors do those, called a gastric ballooning. They get their stomach cut up and rerouted. They get put on these. Have you heard of these new weight loss drugs? These drugs are horrible. They give people diarrhea. They give people nausea. Everyone's like, it's the best thing ever. But is it? But we put our faith in the fact that a doctor has prescribed it or a doctor is performing these surgeries. And instead of putting your faith in yourself, instead of putting your faith in the science behind eating correctly, eating real food. And so it was so scary, but Cristy, I was willing to take those unnecessary risks. And there were a lot of risks to going. And of course, I went to Juarez, which is very dangerous. It's a border town. It's a very dangerous border town. Or I went to, not Juarez. I went to, what's the one in California? Tijuana. Thank you. I don't know why I thought Juarez. I went to Tijuana. Border towns are notoriously dangerous.
I think you and I both did a mission trip in Juarez.
We did. And I think that I went to Tijuana and I took I really was very dangerous. I was well cared for, but I kept thinking, but a doctor is doing it. But there's faith in the medical establishment. Let me ask how many of you listening to me right now, how many of you put your faith in the medical establishment and it's let you down? I'm a great believer in the medical establishment for a lot of things, but weight loss is not one of them, because they just sell you a pill, they sell you a shot, they sell you a surgery, and we never get to the real problem. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego could have bowed and not gotten themselves into all this trouble. They could have done it, Cristy, but they chose to stand strong in what they knew is true. And so we're asking you to stand strong in the science behind a fat-burning lifestyle and eating real food and getting water and sleep. Even though it seems so simple, it doesn't seem like that would be the answer.
It's funny because we have, there'll always be haters, no matter what we do. And the bigger Code Red gets, and when the documentary comes out, it's going to be overnight worldwide exposure, and the haters will come flying in, and that's okay. It doesn't even bother me. It rolls off of me. It just does. It has to. And we got people that call me names and try to say that it's a cult and all that stuff. And it's funny because no matter what you want to call it, and we've done other podcasts on this, it's always going to come back to real food, water, and sleep. It's always going to come back to that. And it's always going to come back to your faith. It's always going to come back to what you believe and what you worship. And it does take a step of faith. It really does say, it takes you saying, okay, I've seen this work for my mom and my grandma. I've seen this work for my neighbor, my pastor's wife. I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot and see if it will work for me. But it always comes down to real food, water, and sleep. There's no way you're going to get around that, no matter how much you hate me or Code Red, or how much you don't like my methods of delivering the message. It's still the principles of real food, water, and sleep. That's the way that you not only lose weight, but stay healthy for the long term. It's not going to be a shake or a pill. It's not going to be it's not going to be some sort of a membership to an app it's just not. It's going to be you learning how to live this way long term, eating real food, drinking water, and sleeping. And we encourage you to take that step of faith towards us and do the right thing, stand up to the crowd, because in that, I don't know. I know that historians say that idol that Nebuchadnezzar made was something like 11 stories high or 27 stories high of pure gold, and the country couldn't afford that. And so I think it was probably a really big hall. And of course it was just hundreds of thousands of people. They were all bowing down. Talk about a step of faith. Talk about standing out in the crowd and not bowing down. Talk about standing out like a sore thumb of not bowing down in the sea of people who were conforming. That could be you. You could be standing up against a whole sea of people, family members, church members, people at work, in the hospital break room, people in the teacher's break room, that are saying, you're crazy for doing this Code Red thing. And you're saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to go this route anymore.
Cristy, people try to make it so complicated. And if you read the stories like this, like David and Goliath, you read the stories like Daniel and the lion's den, same Daniel. You read the stories about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. It's simple. It's simple. And we try to complicate our faith. We try to complicate. Why do we do that as humans? And we just, again, people are like, I can't believe it. Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I just can't. If it's not 12 positive affirmations a day and love yourself, and if it's not 8 sparks in the morning and 2 sparks every evening and take 7 pills, it's almost like they want. I met a guy on a plane one time. He was wealthy. Cristy flew me first class as a treat one time. It was so exciting. And I met this wealthy man sitting next to me in first class. And he said he paid, I think it was close to $10,000 a month in this crazy, it was several, it might not have been that much, but it was a lot in all these crazy supplements. And I wanted to say to him, well, for $27, I could have gotten you the same results, sir. And then you could have flown first class a couple more times. People don't want to believe it's as simple as it is. Same thing with faith. People don't want to believe it's simple. We want to muck it up. We want to say, well, Nebuchadnezzar, maybe if you just had the feet out, or maybe if we bow one day, but not the next, or maybe can we just have a round table discussion where we just unpack all the ideas on idol worship? No, it's simple. I'm not bowing down to your God. I'm not giving in. I have a set of standards. It's simple. Eat your food. Don't do this. Do this. It's simple. Results come when you make small changes. It doesn't have to be this big, loud thing. And people just seem to be not impressed. I bet if you would have been there, Cristy, when that happened, you would have been like, well, other than the fact that they were trying to kill people, it was unimpressively quiet throwing them into the fire. It probably wasn't like the record with all the sound effects, and there weren't violins. And you know what I mean? It was quiet, but it was effective. So you don't have to make it as complicated as people tend to make it, I notice.
And I notice people make their relationship with Christ more complicated than it has to be. It's a relationship. It's a friendship. It's just a back and forth conversation. It's being together, spending time together. And I think that I know when we were kids, we were raised Pentecostal, and, it was always, everything was always so dramatic. And I remember you had to bow your head. Now, of course, we want to be respectful. So we would close our eyes and bow our head. And then Joyce Meyer talks about this, how people changed their language. Oh, Lordeth, please, we come before thoueth. It's like, well, wait a minute, just talk to God. We want to be respectful. We want to come in reverence, but we want to you don't have to, you can lift your head up. You don't need to close your eyes and bow your head and fold your hands like this. You can talk like a friend. Okay, here's what's going on. I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. Please, would you help me? Would you, you can say things, you can quote Bible, like put a watchman at the gate of my mouth. You can quote scripture, and we think you should. If you don't know the scripture, that's okay. Just talk to God. He doesn't care what you look like, what your posture is, what your voice sounds like. He knows every single thing about you that you're going to do your entire life. He knows everything. So why are we trying to make it complicated? It doesn't have to be with your walk with Christ. And for the love of Pete, it doesn't have to be with your weight loss journey. Stick to the rules list, stick to the food list. Don't overanalyze, don't overthink it. Do one step at a time, watch the daily video, and you'll get it. It doesn't have to be that hard. I agree with you 100%, sis.
Yeah, people don't want it to be simple. We as humans want things to be complicated. And I've seen people almost be angry because it's this simple. Like almost like, well, you sold me a scam. No, we really didn't. Just try it for 30 days. So I think it's okay to revel in the simplicity of what the message is that Cristy has for you.
Just the other day, I was talking to my friend, Jenna Arsenault. She owns Arsenal Training. I talk to Jenna and Jason almost every day. They become dear friends, as well as my dog trainers, to help me train Hazel. And Jenna said something, she was saying something, it was wrong. And I said, wait a minute. I said, have you read the rules list? Because that's not true. And I said, did you see that on the foods list? She said, oh, I just assumed it was. I said, no. Again, you are complicating this process. Watch the daily videos. Read the foods list, read the rules list. Stop trying to do more than what it says. Don't do less, don't do more, do exactly what I say, and just let it be. And you'll get as much, I'll get as much weight off of you as bariatric surgery. So it's just so funny. We say to people over and over to not complicate things, and yet they still feel like they need to. Like if this is good, then more is better. And it's just simply not true.
It's like when you go somewhere and they give you 80 papers. Is it just to impress me? Because right. I would have been fine with just everything on a PDF that you emailed to me.
I noticed that I used to send a lot of physical products out to people, and it got to the point where people were just taking pictures of the physical product with their phone and throwing the physical product away. And we thought, what are we doing? Our costs are through the roof. I'm thinking they won't value it unless they have a physical item in their hand. Well, that's simply not true. People value the information however they can get it. And so that's just a part of just being an entrepreneur and learning over the past 7 years that I've been doing this, or the 29 years in this industry. And I learned that, but it's true. People don't think it's going to work because it's so simple. And the look on people's face when I tell them how simple it is, I'll say, I never tell people what I do unless they ask, and they say, oh, what do you do? Oh, I own my own company. I start off real simple. Really? What is it? I own a company called Code Red. Really? What do you do? I don't throw the ball back very much when it comes to Code Red. And I'll say, well, it's a company. We do weight loss. What kind of weight loss? It's a weight loss without shakes, pills, diet, foods, or exercise. Well, how do you lose weight without those things? It's through water and sleep. And the look on their face, it doesn't matter who, they all give me the same look. It's this. Yeah, exactly. And And I just go, I know you think it sounds crazy, but I can get just as much weight off people as bariatric surgery. It works. And it's the way we should be eating because it's the proper human diet. It's always hard for people to understand.
I agree. It's so funny. They give me the same look too.
Yeah.
Do I have to give up Spark? Yes.
Carrie and I are always super hesitant to talk about Code Red simply because when you talk about weight loss with people, it's extremely personal and people get defensive, and you never want to bring it up unless someone approaches you first. Never just bring it up. And with us being average size, it's extra offensive when someone who is morbidly obese, they don't realize that Carrie used to be obese, 100 pounds heavier than what she is now. They don't, so when someone like us tries to talk about it, it's automatically, they're going to be defensive. They're going to be, so it's a real touchy subject that we're super careful about.
I noticed that I was at work. I sometimes work PRN at a little tiny ER, and one of the gals there is heavier. And she came up to me and started talking, and I made a comment, and I was just talking like girls do. But because I'm normal sized, it really offended her. And I could tell the minute I said it that it was offensive. And I just have to be so cautious what I talk about as far as size goes, because nobody likes the normal sized person talking about weight, wanting to losing, maintaining. They don't want to hear it unless they come to you and ask you. They don't want to hear it. They absolutely don't.
And they didn't know your story. They didn't know what you've gone through.
And I should have known. And Cristy, I always kick myself every time I do it because I get that same response. Yeah. And I got to remember that not everyone knows. Cristy, I was remembering the rest of that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego song that was on the record. It went, but God was there. He never let them go. Remember that? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Go, clap, clap.
Yes. Wow, sis, you're back in the 70s with that one. I love it. Well,
I love that.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. Into the Fire. We will be in the fire with you. Spoiler alert, you do not have to walk this alone. We will walk this journey with you, not just Carrie and me, but our coaches, our mentors, and the other rebels who have had incredible success on this program. Believe me, when I tell you, there's nothing that you're going to present to us that is something we haven't seen or can't handle. We love you, and I know we're all individual, but we're more similar than we are different. And this ain't nothing we ain't never seen before. We can handle it. We can handle you. You just have to come to us with a willing, open heart and trust us. Be willing to jump into that flame because nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to be fine. We just need you to take that first step. Any last words, sis?
No, I love that. And I love, just remember, keep in mind, as you're considering this, faith up to the furnace. You got to have faith to get up to the furnace. And even if you get thrown in, people start hating on you. It's, just got to have that faith to walk forward. Nobody's going to help you with those first kind of steps. I can't come to your house and clickety click, click, put it in the computer for you. That's got to be you. So I think definitely stepping out in faith and exercising those first steps is going to be key to your success.
And if you're the only one in the room not bowing down to that idol, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It really is. You might be the only one at the Mexican restaurant not eating the chips and salsa. You might be the only one at the Christmas party not having the tiramisu and the lady fingers and the macaroons. You might be the only one at your office not doing the office break room party. You got to stick with what works for you, and you have to be true to you. And we support you in that. We love you. You guys, we'll see you on the next episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Cristy Code Red, and thank you for listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you want to stay connected to other rebels like you, join us in our private network. Our Code Red app is a one-stop shop, free from ads, algorithms, and censorship, and a place where you can see, listen, and watch everything Code Red. You'll be encouraged, motivated, and fired up to stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Get recipe ideas, tips, tricks, and help from coaches, mentors, and other rebels. You can also purchase products, programs, and coaching all right there in one place. And if you have any trouble navigating the app, we're right there to help you. Go to coderedlifestyle.com/APP to join for free. And I'll see you on the next episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle.